Welcome back, you beautiful people, and today is your lucky day where I am going to teach you how to build one of these. Yep, this is a mini kicker. You can perfect your jumping skills on this thing. You can have as much fun as possible with your mates in the summer holidays. So I'm going to teach you how to build one of these step by step. But before we get into all of this, you need a few things. First off, you're going to need one of these. A little machine to screw in all those screws. Talk about screwing. Get yourself a box of these screws. These are 4x50mm. These are perfect length to keep this thing structurally sound. You want to get yourself a tape measure to measure out all that wood so you get the perfect length cuts. You're going to need to mark those cuts, so you want to get yourself a good pencil, marker, pen, whatever, as long as it's a good marker. Get yourself one of these. It's a right angle ruler thing. It's got a nice straight edge so you can draw a nice straight line so you can get a nice straight cut. Talk about cutting. You're going to get yourself one of these, a nice saw to get a nice clean cut in that wood. If you're a young chap, you'll be using one of these, but with some parental guidance, you can use one of these. Then you're going to need one of these to cut a nice perfect angle for that kicker. Next up, materials. What wood are you going to need to build this thing? First up, you want to buy 2 planks of these 2x1s to give it a bit more structural support. Next up, you want to buy yourself some 18mm ply. This is going to be the sidewalls of that ramp. Last but least, you want to get yourself some of this 9mm ply, and this is going to be the actual takeoff surface. This is where you're going to be riding and launching yourself out the top of it. Right, let's get cutting, let's get making, let's get this whole thing started. Okay, this is the first bit of the build, and this is the most technical bit of the build. It's quite difficult as well, but there's a few ways of getting around it, and that is getting the perfect radius on that kicker, because you don't want it too steep, but you don't want it too mellow. You just want to get it nice and perfect. So take your time when doing this, because it's quite crucial. There's a few ways of getting around this to get the perfect angle, the perfect radius for that kicker. So you can get yourself a nice flexy bit of conduit, a bit of PVC piping that will work really well. For me, I've got a nice flexy piece of wood that I can bend into shape. I can manipulate with a few screws to get the perfect nice round radius. And I'm going to show you how I did that. So what you want to do is get your 18mm ply. You want to place it on the floor, a nice flat surface, so you can start drawing out that nice perfect curve. Okay, let's talk about this 18mm ply and how big do you actually really need to have it to build this ramp. So when you go into your local timber merchant or DIY store, whatever, you don't really need to get these huge big pieces of ply because you're not going to use all of it. So I went into my local store, B&Q, whatever it was, to get this piece of wood. It's an 18mm ply, so it's about 6'10" wide millimeters by 12'20" long. So it's the perfect length and size to cut 2 sides out of this thing, so I can get both sides cut for this ramp. So now let's move on to what the lengths you need to actually cut it. Start measuring it out, start getting that curve, because that's super important. So the length of the ramp I'm going to be making is around, it's going to be 40 inches. And that gives me an 8-inch overhang on the back, because you don't really want to have your ramp with a straight back end, because it's gonna move, so you need to give it some structure support. So what you want to do is keep 8 inches out the back, and then you will taper it all the way down from the top to the bottom, so that will give it a nice cheese wedge looking shape, so it wouldn't fall over. Okay, so now I know the length of my ramp, 40 inches. I know I've got an 8-inch overhang on the back, which I'll show you that later on. Right, next bit is to start getting that curve. So mark that. So that's 40 inches from there to there. So that is the ramp bit. So this is where you're going to use this. This is important. So the next bit is you want to know how high you want to make your ramp. So you don't want to make it too tall, because this is, well, you've only got this much. You got 610mm to play with. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to work in inches, because it's pretty easy. So from the bottom, this is the bottom, I'm going to make an 18-inch high ramp. 18 inches. So that's the 18 inches. This is the top of my ramp. You want to get one of your screws, you want to drill it on that mark, 18 inches. So this top screw is going to be the top of your lip. Next bit, you want to get this curve. So you know your curve's going to start there. So that's going to be your fixture point. Screw another screw in there. So the next bit is, you don't want to go all the way to the end of your ramp. So what you want to do is you want to measure in over here. I'll say 2.5 inches. That 2.5 inches is going to give you enough room there so you can continue that piece of 9mm ply all the way onto the ground, because you don't want to have a step onto your lip. Next step is get one of your screws, put it in at that 2.5 inches. So take a look at this. Now with that fixed point there and this fixed point here, you can get your hand, get your fingers, move that piece of wood in so you can start to manipulate that bendy piece of material. That's important. Needs to be flexible. So this piece of wood is super flexible. It's perfect for it, but you can use PVC piping, which is another great piece of material to use to find the perfect angle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend my time, get my screw. This is the other screw. I'm going to get the screw and I'm going to move it around, look at it, and then I'm going to screw it in place and get the perfect line. I'm pretty chuffed with that. So the next bit is put it back down like that, grab your pencil, and you want to mark this now. You want to mark this line. Right, just to recap, it's 18 inches high. I've got my curve using that flexy bit of material wood there. It's 40 inches long, and then I've left 8 inches on the end, which I'm going to cut from the top all the way to that bottom corner, and that's going to give it a nice wedge on that to give it a bit more support when you hit it so it doesn't just fall over. Right, next step, jigsaw. So before we get started, I want to mark out this wedge on the back. Down. So this is going to give me that support on the back. So this is the back end of it. I'm going to be taking off, so this is going to give it a little bit more support when it's on the floor. A quick tip before you start cutting: don't cut that line, because if you cut that, you won't be able to get the other half of the kicker from this side, because you cut this bit, you take this bit out, you flop it over, you can cut the other side, but I'll show you that at the end when I've cut this bit. Right, don't cut down there either. The next step is get this board, this is the kicker, get this bit and place it on the line. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Get your pencil, run it all the way, take it off, and you've got the twin to this one. Okay, so now we've got our two sides, they're matching exactly the same, they're twins, so they're the same. Now, I'm going to measure up these bits that I'm going to cut and put them in here. So those 2x1s, I'm going to put in here to give it a little bit more structural support. So this is the fun bit. This was where there's a lot of cutting, so run time lapse. Got my nice little blocks here. I cut 8 of them. What I'm going to do, I'm going to place one right down here, as closest to the floor as possible, so it gives that 9mm ply a bit of support. So that goes there, and then from there I'm thinking 10cm gaps. Okay, so now I've measured out where I'm going to put my little strut braces underneath the ramp to keep that 9mm ply nice and sturdy on there so I can ride it at high speed. Right, next up, do the same to the other side and then start screwing together, which is quite tedious, but I'll make sure you do a good job of it. You want to keep them planks nice and level because you don't want to have a wobbly kicker. So it's super important to take this bit a little bit easy. You don't want to rush this bit because you want to make sure those planks are level with that curve, running up with that curve. If they're not, if one's higher than the other, it's going to feel a little bit uncomfortable when it comes to riding it. Likewise, you want to space these things out super carefully. You don't want to have big gaps, you don't want to have small gaps, because it'll feel like you're riding over a grid. Oh, it's looking good, look at it. Whoa! One more screw, and then we can put the 9mm. Look at that! Look at that! It's sick! Now to put the 9mm ply on. Look at that. Now this is a hard bit, so if you've made a super steep kicker, then bending this, you might break it. So you've got to be super careful with this when you're manipulating this into place. So what I like to do, as I start at the top, put a screw either side, because you want to keep it level all the way down whilst you're screwing in through this, through the ply into the wood. Okay, a little tip for you so you know where to screw in through this wood, because you don't want to just be screwing into nowhere or guessing and having loads of holes and it looks like some crazy ass cheese. So what you want to do is you mark a little score on each plank, then you know which the center of them is. Now it gives you a good indication where that strut is, and then you get a nice bit of long straight edge, and you can lay it on that, and you can get you know where the plank is going to be. So now screw up the top, screw over there, and then slowly walk it down so you can get a nice even edge and keep it on there so you don't just crack this bit of ply. And then I think we're done. Now, this is super important. You make sure you get this lined up really well, because if you don't, the piece of wood's going to be a little bit off and it's not going to look good. So take your time doing this. Don't rush. I know it's nearly the end, but don't rush. It's going to make some cracking noises, but it's fine. It's fine, he says. Ah yes, this bit is super tedious, but you got to take your time on this and be generous with putting in those screws, because you don't want that 9mm ply to be popping off when you're riding it. Also, you want to take your time lining it up as well, because if you don't line it up really well from the start, it's going to be a little bit out at the end or too much, and it'll look ugly. We're finished. We finished the little kicker. It's all complete. It took a bit of time, but you can't really rush perfection on a little ramp like this. You want to spend your time doing it because it's fun. Plus, you can just build one of these on summer holidays. Summer holidays is coming up, so you can just spend a few days building one of these, few hours building one of these, and you can just go out there for hours on end, perfecting those jumping skills and just having fun with your friends. Right, let's do a little walk around. Got some nice 18mm ply on the both sides there to give it a nice rigidity. We've got 9mm there for the lip, and all these struts. Look at this. This is super sturdy, super strong. If you did have a little bit of wood and a little bit more ply, you could put it on here just to box it off a little bit, just to give it a bit more of aestheticness, aesthetically pleasing. There you go. Give it a little bit more of that. Right now, we're just gonna go. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna chuck this in the back of my Jeep. I'm gonna chuck my bike on. I'm gonna get in some gear, and I'm gonna test this thing out on the streets. Right, whew, it's finished. So I come out, but before I left home, I thought I'd put a good coat of paint on this ramp to make it a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. It's grey, I know, but it's all I had. I got one more thing to make it official. GMBN sticker. GMBN DIY show has just started. Look at that, there you go. Right, now let's send it. I'm gonna test it. I haven't tested it yet, so here's a nice little down ramp. I'm gonna make a little step down gap. I'm gonna put it there and send it into there. Wow! Wow! That thing works a treat! Oh! Nice pop. It wasn't too steep, it wasn't too mellow. Kind of went too fast into it. Let's get a little bit more comfortable with it, and then maybe we should bust some tricks into it. This thing's cool. Right, let's do a trick. What trick? Tuck no hander? All right, tuck no hander coming up. Nice. Right, now I know it works. Let's move it. Let's spice it up a bit. I think there's a step up to a little concrete bank thing down there. So follow me. This is the step up. I'm gonna bar spin up the step up. Look at this line that I've just scoped out. So I'm gonna put the kicker right there. I'm gonna jump over this. I'm gonna go down there, and then I'm gonna drop into that little slope on the edge of the car park. Right. Let's do it. Wow. Mini flip, turbo flip on a mini kicker. Wow. So hopefully you enjoyed this little video. I'm super stoked with what I've built and come out with. So much fun. Summer is coming up, kids, so get one of these built so you can perfect your jumping skills. Have fun with your mates and dads. Help your kids build one of these things, because I don't think they can use the power tools. If you want to see another video and you want to perfect your manualing skills, click this video right here. That can definitely help you out. I build one of those. Smash that globe if you haven't subscribed already, because you're missing out on a lot of great content. Hit the like button. Let me know if you want to see more of this stuff. Maybe one video with just that. I'll see you in the next one. These kids are stoked. They want to build one. Right. I'm gonna play with this thing a bit more. See ya.